The world had stopped making sense. And I was feeling lost too, you know, and full of anger and disappointment. So I just wanted to be alone in nature for a while. And I set out to make a documentary on the longest trail in the world.
That's a look at the documentary 500 Days in the Wild by award-winning filmmaker Dianne Whelan.
Well, yeah, thank you. Dianne became the first person to travel 24,000 kilometers over land and water, completing the Trans-Canada Trail, which, as we just heard, the longest trail in the world. She joins us now to share more about her journey. Welcome to the show,
Thank
Dianne.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Deanne, as I mentioned backstage, I was blown away by this documentary. I couldn't tear my eyes away, so congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to know, what made you want to take on such a staggering challenge?
Well, you know, from a professional perspective, I make documentaries. My last one was on Mount Everest, and before that, I made a documentary up on the most northern coastline in Canada. So the longest trail in the world kind of seemed like a natural next step, right? But also in my personal life, I just turned 50, which is not normal. Not normally when you would embark on a journey like this. But my marriage had ended, and my dog of 16 years had died. And I thought, you know what? Maybe it's time to check out to check in, you know? Like, just so that whatever life that I was gonna rebuild would be really grounded in authenticity and sincerity and just meaningful for me. So it clicked all the boxes, you know?
Love that. You are speaking to our souls right now, Dianne, you are. So you entitled the documentary 500 Days in the Wild.
Yeah.
The whole journey, though, ended up taking about 6 years?
Yeah, 1,862 days.
Okay. So at what point did you decide, you know, I'm just going to throw out that schedule and keep going?
Day 10. Yeah. So the idea comes, you know, and you, like every idea, ideas don't have ages on them, right? So you get the idea and you're like, oh, yeah, this sounds great. And then you get out there and your body reminds you, well, you're not exactly 20 anymore, sister, you know? So that reality check slowly sunk in. But in so many ways, when I look back at it, it was a real gift. Because on day 10, I went, wow, you haven't gone in 3 days what you thought you could do in 10. So that type A personality that's like day 1, day 2, day 3, it's like, why am I out here?
Yeah.
You know, it forced me to ask those questions, like, what am I doing out here? And I just burned that schedule and stopped measuring the journey, like, by numbers, like how fast and how hard. I'm a woman in my 50s. That just doesn't matter to me anymore, right? And the other thing is, so many of these journeys are about, like, conquering things. And I thought, you know, a woman my age, I can bring a different sensibility to this journey. And instead about conquering, it can be about connection, you know?
That's great. Well, speaking of connection, you've visited many Indigenous communities along the way. So what were those experiences like for you?
Oh, wow, well, like profound. And that was definitely, I would say, the most sacred and meaningful part of the journey for me. So yeah, before I left, I went to Haida Gwaii for a film festival, and I received an eagle feather as a gift. I asked a man there, Vern Williams, Vern, how can I honor the ancestors of this land as I cross it? And he's a traditional and knowledge keeper. And he said, Dianne, I'm gonna gift you my feather. And I knew when he gifted it to me, well, he barely knew me, he had just met me. So here he is, he's giving the thing that matters the most to him in life to a stranger, right? So I was like very moved, and I knew, wow, like this is this sacred item I need to now carry across this land, and I'm on this rugged journey. So I was very concerned about that, but that feather shaped my journey. And what I learned when I think back on it is that what we carry in our heart shapes our journey. And because I treated this with reverence and with respect, it shaped mine.
I found that scene that you're describing, where he gives you the feather, to be so emotional. And another scene that I found to be so emotional was your final 300-kilometer paddle, when you're coming into the end of the trail in Clover Point, Victoria, BC. Can you take us back to that moment?
Sure. Well, yeah, it was, it's been 6 years and 1 month at that point. And so I'm in my final approach, and, you know, all I can see on the surface of the water are thousands and thousands of hands. That's what it looked like to me. And all those hands were all the people that over the last 6 years had showed me kindness and helped me. So it was an overwhelming feeling. And then also that morning, I received a notice that I would be honoring traditional Coast Salish protocol when I landed the canoe. So what that means is for hundreds of years, I mean, when settlers first arrived here, boats were always greeted by the local Indigenous community. And the way would be you would approach the shore. I stayed in the canoe. I stated my name. I stated that I come in peace and the purpose of my journey. And then I asked permission to come to shore. And greeting me were the two daughters of the chief, the Songhe women, sisters, Cecilia and Lavetta. And they welcomed me to shore and we walked to the mile zero together. And what was really amazing was this very week, the graves of children were being dug up at these old residential schools, and still the grace, right? Still they came to meet me. And still, even as all that was happening, after we, landed, they sang a song, and then they said to everybody that had gathered there, all as one. That's pretty powerful considering, that's a profound example of grace. And so very meaningful ending to the, and I won't give it totally away, but there is another beat after that where the feather goes home. So that was also a very meaningful part of the journey for me.
Dianne, this was deeply inspirational and profound for us here. And thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey there, what did you think? Drop your comments below and join the conversation. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can find more on everything from food and fashion to pop culture and current events. See you soon.